I'm just talking to myself and a camera, so yeah, what's that? Welcome to a new video. We're back on the bank and you join me back in the Cotswolds. So I've come up to Horcott Lake. I'm doing sort of an overnighter, extended overnighter I guess you'd call it. I've not really got 24 hours. I've got to be off in the morning, so it is about 8, half 8 now, and I've not long got here. I've actually been stood in the car park for probably 20 minutes, maybe even longer than that, but the sun is absolutely blasting into there, making visibility really difficult. So I've come around to one of the other banks. I've got the Syndicate Lake behind me, and there's a lot of shade along here, so I'm able to get a better view of the lake so that I can actually see if anything's showing. So I'm going to walk around, see if I can find any fish. Obviously if I do and I can get on them, then that is the main thing. Obviously at the end of the day, location is always going to be key, so I'm going to walk around, see if I can find a few, and hopefully I'll be in with a chance of having some over the next sort of well, not 24, but over the next sort of night and morning really. So anyway, I'm going to have a walk around, see what I can find, and we'll get some rods out, get a bit of bait on it, and see if we can have one. So please subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and check out the social media shown on the screen now. And I'm going to get on the move, see if I can find a few fish, and I'll update you when I know what I'm doing. First things first then. Oh yeah, nice. That's just weed. There's clearly a lot of weed out there. We've got one on red, which is a nice visual hook bait. One on yellow, because I'm going to put a little bit of food in, and I've got a bit of sweet corn. And then this one is a match the hatch. This is actually a crayfish dumbbell, which matches the crayfish. The mini and maxi cray mix, pellet mix that we use a lot of. So basically it's just all to match what I'm feeding pretty much. And then just one bright hook bait, which is that one, just to try and draw their attention. Obviously the yellow hook bait is bright, but amongst a bunch of sweet corn it ain't going to stand out too much. And then we will wang them out into the pond. Move them around as I see fit. That is absolutely perfect. Morning then, you join me for a morning coffee, and unfortunately it's been a quiet night. So I updated you when I got here, and I did a bit on GoPro, just getting the rods sorted. to be honest, the battery ran out part way through leading around, so I don't think I actually got the rods and everything going out in the end. But to be honest, the light was very quickly fading, and you wouldn't have been able to see too much anyway unless I put the camera light on, which I didn't really want to do because it was just going to cause a lot of disturbance. So I quickly got the rods out as soon as I could, and I did put a little bit of bait in as well. So I ended up finding a spot just over 20 wraps. It's a really nice clean area. There's a lot of weed in this lake, and you do really have to put quite a bit of time into finding a spot. So yeah, I spent quite a bit of time having a lead around and just trying to find a feature that I thought would be worth fishing. So I decided to fish 3 rods on that spot. I did put a bit of bait over the top of them, not a load, maybe about 8 spods, the sort of medium sized one, and I just put a mix of sweet corn. I put some of the Maxi Cray mix and some little 8mm out there, the bug 8mm. Just gave it a little glug of a matching liquid, the bug liquid, and let it soak for a little bit while I was sorting out the rods, and then deposited that out there. But yeah, I only just put enough really to try and get a bite, get a bit of a feeding response. There's quite a lot of other species in there. There's a lot of tench and silvers, so I did give it a little bit. You know, I didn't just put sort of 3 or 4 out there for a bite. I did put sort of 8 or so out there because I know there's a lot of other species, and the chances are other fish could move in on the spot and feed away on the bait as well. So I put a decent amount out there to hopefully produce a bite. Now, in terms of why I got in this swim, I'm actually in swim 36, and the reason I got in here was mainly due to where other anglers were positioned, and also the water it gave me. Now, I didn't see anything when I walked the lake. I stood in the car park for quite a long time. Visibility was awkward because the sun was blasting in my face, so I did a bit of a lap, and I didn't see a single fish show. Saw a lot of silvers. I might have seen the odd tench, but didn't see anything sort of carpy show. So in terms of location, I was a little bit stuck because I couldn't find anything. Now, I would normally not set up unless I can see something, but normally you do see something on a lake like this with a reasonable head of fish in it, or pretty healthy stock in a fish. You're going to see something quite quickly really, and because nothing was showing, I thought I could end up being sat there all through the dark and not see or hear anything. So I decided, based on where everyone else was positioned, to get myself in sort of the centre of the lake and just try and fish out to open water in the hope that if the fish were spread out at some point, something might come through the area and give me a bit of an opportunity. So sadly, it was a quiet night, and managed to get a few hours sleep. I did go to bed pretty late. Obviously I got here quite late, so by the time the rods were out, I'd had something to eat and drank a few tins of cider. It was the early hours, but I managed to get a few hours sleep. I didn't see anything show prior to getting in the sleeping bag, but since getting up this morning, I have been scanning the water, and I've seen a couple of fish show towards the bait. Might have been tench, but it's a good sign, and I have seen a couple of carp show in this area, so there's definitely some fish down here. They seem like they're active now. The sun's starting to come through. It's a reasonably cool night, so they might have sort of switched them off a bit, but the sun's coming through. It's going to warm it up. Hopefully the fish will get on the bait. It's a very shallow lake, so they're never going to be too far from a bit of food, to be honest. Even if you're fishing on the bottom and up in the water, it's not very deep. It's probably 4 foot out there. So there's always a good chance of a fish dropping down. Alternatively, I could switch and stick some zigs on and see if that produces a bite, but I haven't got a huge amount of time. I have got to get going and be off to work, so I'll just give it a go, act on what I see, and fingers crossed we will put something in the net. Right, so unfortunately we've not had any fish still, but I'm just going to put a couple of spods out. Only a couple, maybe 3, just to put a little bit of extra scent on that spot. There's been a few fish showing in the area, and I just think you never know, someone could have visited the spot and I just haven't had a bite yet. So I'm going to just put a couple out on that zone, just give it a bit of a boost of attraction. Sometimes that can be enough to produce a bite. There's a decent stock of fish in this lake, so you know, spodding little and often should work. The only thing that I would say is it is a shallow lake, and sometimes that spod crashing down could potentially spook them, but I think they're used to it enough for it not to really cause me too many problems. So I'm going to just put a couple of spods out and just give it a little boost of attraction, and hopefully that might draw in a fish and give me a bite. But at the moment nothing is happening. I've not seen anyone catch anything, but there's definitely a few fish showing within my vicinity, so I do think maybe putting a little bit of extra attraction out there might be a way of sort of giving me a bite potentially. So got to try it, haven't you? Got to try these things, see what happens. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. The only other option I can do is potentially put some zigs on and flick a couple of zigs out there and see if maybe the fish are up in the water. But I'm going to just put a couple of spods out, give it an hour and see if that happens. If it doesn't, the last couple of hours I might just fish zigs and see if that produces the goods. But everything in the playful still got a bit of time, so you never know, hopefully we can have one. But I'm just going to show you my spod setup and just show you a very simple way of making it a bit easier without bringing extra kit with you. This is my spod setup, and a lot of people bring like a spod station, and it just seems like a lot of extra kit. Now if I was spodding out an absolute load of bait, now I can understand it. If you know you're going to need a lot of bait and you're going to spod very regularly, it does make sense sometimes to have a spod station, as it is up nice and high and is much more comfortable. But what I do is I just use my food bag. That's a ProLogic EVA bag, and I keep all my food and that in there. And then what I do is I just pull it out from under the bed and I just stand my bait bucket on top of it, and it just elevates it that little bit higher, so I haven't got to crouch down to try and reach in to fill the spod up. And that is actually quite a nice little height. Yes, I've got to bend a little bit, but not too much. And when you're only putting a couple of spods out here and there, it doesn't really make too much difference. So just a little bit of a way of utilising the kit you got and not bring in stuff that you don't really need, especially when you're doing a short little session like I am. Right, so I'm just going to put out a couple of spods just to basically put a little bit of extra attraction out on the zone. So first things first, dip the rod in the water and the reel. All this does is just lubricate the rings, so there's less chance of getting any frap ups or anything like that, and makes the spod glide a little bit better because obviously it lubricates everything. Then I'm going to just put a couple of spods out on the zone. Now I'm not fishing super tight because the area I found has got a bit of width to it. It's a clear spot around surrounded by some weed basically, and I've got 3 rods out there. They are relatively close together, but they're not super tight. They're not like 3 bang on a spot. They've probably got half a rod length between them, maybe not quite that, but because of that I don't need to be super accurate. Lovely. But yeah, I'm not fishing too far out. It's just over 20 wraps, but I'm just gonna put a couple more out there, give it a bit more traction, drop some food down through the water column, you know, a little bit of extra scent. Some of that bait's probably washed out quite a bit, a lot of that liquid's probably washed out, so by just putting some fresh scent out, you know, it's been soaking in that for the night. The bait and the liquid's been soaking in there for the night in the bucket, so it's all soaked into that bait lovely. It looks like it's been out there longer than it has, where it's obviously washed out a little bit in the liquids, so it's not gonna look too out of place when it actually goes out in the spot, but it's obviously packed full of liquid, packed full of attraction, so it should hopefully just give the spot that little bit of a boost. Oh, that's a bit to the right. That one was a bit off target, I'm not going to lie. That was slightly too far to my right. That's probably because of that side wind. I should have killed that really. I could see as that was going out, that was probably a bit too far to the right. But like I said, the rods aren't super tight. So I don't mind quite so much when I'm fishing super tight. And obviously if a spod starts to go the wrong way, you want to try and kill it if you can. But because of the spot I'm fishing, I decided not to fish mega so that I can sort of spread it a little bit more if I need to, but obviously don't want to go spreading it too much. Sometimes I find having a little bit of a spread, if you can actually be to your advantage. That's nice. So those couple of spots I put out haven't produced anything yet, and I haven't seen anything show for a while now. It's looking pretty quiet out in front of the swim. The rods are still out on the pod fishing, and I'm just hoping for that one opportunity to get one bite and save myself a blank. But I just thought I'd talk you through quickly what I do on these short sessions, and that is keep everything packed down, nice and mobile, ready to go. So I've packed the shelter down, the beds, everything's basically on the barrow ready to go, and that way if I do see an opportunity I can quickly move and make the most of it. One thing on delicate waters is the fish can move around, hold in different areas, and if an opportunity presents itself to you, you need to be able to act on that really quick. If you commit yourself to an area with loads of kit and you've got too much stuff to move fast, you're going to miss out on opportunities, and you could potentially sit in a swim blanking after paying your hard-earned money to fish, and you can end up not having anything. So although I've not seen an opportunity to move on to, you never know, it could happen. So it always pays to be ready to move as and when, so that you can act on it and get the most out of your session. So obviously I'm going to just stick it out in here for the time being. The rods are out on the spot, so hopefully something to move onto the area before I go. I've got about an hour left, but if it doesn't, it's still been enjoyable. It's a lovely fishery, Horcott, and if you haven't been here, I would recommend coming up and giving it a go. It's lovely surroundings up in the Cotswolds. It has got a good stock of fish in it, and generally speaking, they're not too hard to catch if you can get on them. But today it just seems to be one of those sessions where the fish haven't really been on it, or I haven't been on the fish. They've not been giving themselves away, so I've just done the best that I can in the time that I've got. So anyway, I'm gonna lay the rods on the ground in a minute and put the pod on the barrow and get myself ready to go, and then it's just going to be a case of reeling those rods in at the end of the session and getting on the move, and unfortunately going into work. But hopefully we can have a fish before we go, so fingers crossed we can finish it off with a whacker. Right then, end of the session, I'm back in the van, kit's loaded up, I'm just going to get on the road now and head off to work, sadly. But it's been a blank, unfortunate, but it's nice to be on the bank. It's a lovely venue, and I'm definitely back for another go soon. I highly recommend coming down to Horcott. It's a lovely place. Some lovely fish, real scaly fish in here, and it's very clear, shallow water, so they're really dark, lovely fish. And there's a couple of chunks in here now. It's starting to produce some real nice 30-pounders, so definitely worth coming down and giving it a go. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video, hopefully you've got something from it, even though I've not caught anything. If you're getting out, then be lucky, and I'll see you in the next video.